What is going on, everybody? Back at it with another New York Giants video, and I feel like this video is not going to be a fun one to have, but we're going to go through it anyway and talk about some interesting topics that a lot of questions have been asked about from the fans, from our viewers, and let's get right into it, folks. It is the Week 14 recap of the Giants' blowout loss to the Philadelphia Eagles. Before I dive into the game analysis, make sure to go check us out on all of our social media platforms if you haven't already on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube at Big Blue Avenue. And friendly neighborhood reminder, this episode is presented by our sponsor, BetUS. You can sign up with our promo code below there at Join125. Get a 125% sign up bonus where you can bet on the go anywhere, anytime, straight from your mobile device. That is BetUS, where the game begins. And now, folks, I'm going to talk about this Week 14 loss to the Philadelphia Eagles. Blown out, Giants dropped to 7-5-1 on the season, and it was not pretty from the get-go. Giants went down 21-0 early. Both of my co-hosts decided to go to this game for some reason. It was really brutal, losing by 26 points. I was not expecting a blowout. I was expecting a loss, but not a blowout. And this by far was Big Blue's worst loss of the season. Since starting 6-1, the Giants are now 1-4-1 over their last 6 games. Not good. One of the bright spots in this game was Azeez Ojulari, the second-year edge rusher out of Georgia. He had 2 sacks in this game, including one on a third down that led to a blocked punt by Ellerson Smith, leading to a Giants touchdown back when they were down 21-0. A nice play made by Azeez. He's obviously player of the game for Big Blue. And with that, the Philadelphia Eagles improved to 12-1, clinching a playoff berth. Many people viewed this win as one that officially makes them a Super Bowl team. I don't think the Giants are for real, like people are making them out to be. I think the Giants are a playoff caliber football team this year, but there are a lot of fraudulent aspects of this team. The DoorDash linebackers, the depleted secondary that has no depth, the interior offensive line that struggles every week, the wide receivers that have trouble catching multiple passes throughout the course of the game, the injuries to our tight end positions. Guys can't stay healthy. So it's a real shame. Let's start out with our quarterback, Daniel Jones. And folks, I am sick and tired of seeing people bash Daniel Jones every time the Giants lose, like it's his fault. Eagles dominated time of possession. Jones was barely on the field in that first half. Jones' final stat line, 18 of 27 for 169 yards and 1 touchdown. He had 26 yards on the ground and 1 score on 4 rushes. Now, Jones was sacked 4 times. He was hit 12 times. 12 times. This is a dual threat quarterback. This is a dynamic quarterback that can move out of the pocket. He can move. And the fact that he was hit 12 times, again, Andrew Thomas did not have his best game. Evan Neal did not look good either. Mark Lewinsky was horrendous. In fact, we actually had a tweet about him, really frustrated with his play in this game. But Jones still managed to have a 96.1 rating in this game, overall rating. Eventually, the game got so bad, the Giants took Jones and Barkley both out towards the end of the fourth quarter. Tyrod Taylor came in the game, was 5 of 5 for 47 yards and a touchdown in garbage time. He did get sacked 3 times and lost a fumble. Again, Giants brought in some backup linemen at that point as well. We saw Tyre Phillips, Matt Pert, and Jack Anderson all enter the game. Saquon Barkley continues to be a non-factor over the last 6 weeks. Just 28 yards on the ground, 20 yards receiving. Not a good look for the Giants running back and running game. Again, Saquon clearly playing hurt with a neck injury. We know he's not 100%. Eagles did a good job defending Darius Slayton. He had that one big 37-yard catch, but other than that, they held him to just 2 total catches. I thought James Bradbury and Darius Slay did a fine job on the 4th-year receiver. As expected, Richie James was the leading receiver, 7 catches for 61 yards and a score. One receiver that continues to be a lone bright spot in this position unit is Isaiah Hodgins. Hodgins now in just 5 games with the Giants has 2 touchdown receptions, back-to-back weeks with a touchdown catch now. Hodgins had 4 catches for 38 yards and a score. Daniel Bellinger had 3 catches before taking a hard hit in the second quarter. He stayed in the game but eventually left in the second half with sore ribs. It was just really, really bad. Giving up 7 sacks, this offensive line did this week. As I said, Mark Lewinsky had a really bad game. John Feliciano did not have a good game. Andrew Thomas did not have a good game. Nobody had a good game up front. And defensively, it wasn't much better. The Giants could not stop the run. It's been a problem all season long in Wink Martindale's defense. And, people are starting to criticize Wink Martindale a lot as of late. Teams are putting up numbers on us, and it is concerning a little bit that I feel like once teams have enough games to study the film and scout Wink Martindale's defense, they're able to work around it. But at the same time, you could also say that, they don't have a Dory Jackson. They don't have Xavier McKinney. They don't have Aaron Robinson. So there are some holes there defensively, and this defense is not very talented outside of the young edge rushers that we have and Dexter Lawrence, of course. So there's not many other guys on that roster that you could name that are viable starting NFL talent players, right? Giants are starting Jalen Smith and a 5th-round rookie at linebacker right now. They also have Henry Mondu on that defensive line. Zion Gilbert, Fabian Moreau, and Nick McLeod are playing corner right now. We're seeing Cordell Flott in the slot. Jason Pinnock is back there. These guys aren't starting caliber players, a lot of them. So, it's no shocker why the Eagles were able to rush for 253 yards and 4 rushing touchdowns, which was embarrassing. The Giants gave up 8.2 yards per carry. Julian Love whiffed. Awful read on a 3rd down that led to a Devontae Smith score. One of the bright spots on the defense, Micah McFadden, was having a good game, tackle for loss in the backfield, then left the game with an ankle injury. Zion Gilbert did manage to get his first career sack, but other than that, he was getting toasted in coverage. Azeez Ojulari had a good game with the 2 sacks and the 4 tackles. Ryder Anderson also recorded his first NFL sack. That was a practice squad elevation. And then special teams. I don't know what the hell happened, but it was really interesting to see the penalty. Jamie Gillen mishandled a punt that led to a drop kick that he was penalized for. The Eagles then went on. I believe it was a 33-yard touchdown pass to A.J. Brown that he caught. So, Jalen Hurts was all over this Giants defense. He had 2 touchdown passes, 77 rushing yards, and 1 score there as well. So 3 total touchdowns for Hurts, 2 of them through the air. He was sacked 4 times, but he had a 109 rating. Miles Sanders was all over the Giants defensively. They couldn't stop him. Dexter Lawrence and Leonard Williams are not enough. They need better tackling linebackers. They need, help next to Dexter and Leo. That 3rd interior defensive lineman needs to be upgraded. They need, Kayvon Thibodeau and Azeez Ojulari to be better run defenders when they're out there. So it all goes hand in hand. And I do think they miss Xavier McKinney in the run defense as well. He can be a box safety. 144 rushing yards from Miles Sanders is unacceptable. Boston Scott had a pretty good game on the ground too. 6 rushes for 33 yards and 1 touchdown. He really killed us on special teams. Scott had 3 kickoff returns for 117 yards. Had a 66-yard kickoff return at one point in this game. And if you're a Giants fan sitting there watching it, you're like, oh, no, here we go again. Here comes Boston Scott, Giants killer, going off on us. Brown and Smith each had a touchdown. Those guys had their fair share. The Eagles' offense amassed 437 total yards. You're not going to win many football games when you give up over 430 yards of offense. And the Giants couldn't get off the field on 3rd down. Eagles were 6 for 11 on 3rd down. They scored 3 touchdowns in the red zone. They committed just 2 penalties, Philadelphia did, for a total of 9 yards, and then holding the ball for 32 and a half minutes. They won time of possession. So, I mean, there you have it there offensively. And then defensively for the Eagles, the Giants, they weren't able to get Daniel Jones much time in the pocket. 4 sacks on him, 3 on Tyrod Taylor in limited action in the fourth quarter. But Brandon Graham, it wasn't just this game, but throughout the course of his career with Philadelphia, Brandon Graham has owned the Giants. Granted, the tackle play hasn't been great for New York ever since Graham entered the league, but Brandon Graham in this game had 3 sacks. 3. Fletcher Cox had 1 and 2 quarterback hits. He was all over the place. Milton Williams had a sack and 2 tackles for loss. He was really good. You don't even need Jordan Davis back there when you have Milton Williams and Fletcher Cox. Both are starting caliber players. Fletcher Cox, Pro Bowler, Brandon Graham, really good edge rusher, one of the better edge rushers in football. Hassan Reddick, the guy who had 5 sacks against us a couple years ago, he had a sack in yesterday's game. Josh Sweat had a sack on the first possession. I believe it was off of Andrew Thomas as well. TJ Edwards, Philadelphia's leading tackler, he came to play in this game. Darius Slay, yes, he gave up the touchdown to Hodgins, but he had 2 nice pass deflections as well. Bradbury, he was kind of quiet, which is a good thing. You don't call his name much, you have a good game. And people are saying, oh, well, the only good thing is that the Giants turf took out 3 Eagles, including their punter. Well, it doesn't mean anything, all right? You don't want to see players get hurt on either team. I know their punter, Siposs, got hurt on the first punt attempt of the day where Smith blocked the punt. Siposs scooped it up and then got decked. I think it was by Pinnock before the first down marker. It's just really rough scene there for Philadelphia, but they're 12-1. They were clearly the better team. The Giants, hopefully they have better days ahead. And remember, folks, this is a rebuilding year. Although the Giants have lost 3 of their first 4 matchups against the NFC East, they've yet to win a divisional game this year. The Giants still do control their own destiny. They have Washington in Week 15, who they tied to, just 2 weeks ago. So it'll be interesting to see what happens on Sunday Night Football against the Commanders, because Philadelphia absolutely obliterated the Giants while Washington was sitting at home watching the game and studying film for the Giants now for the past 2 weeks. So I think Washington has an advantage at home. Giants need to put this loss to Philadelphia in the rearview mirror immediately and focus on Washington. There's no other thing to do at this point. You hope guys get healthy. I doubt Adoree Jackson will be back for this game. You hope Daniel Bellinger is okay. You hope Micah McFadden can go. There's some guys that you'd like to have back defensively, like McKinney. You're probably not going to get him back. I'd like to see Dane Belton a little bit more involved in the defense. Thibodeau and Ojulari need to continue to get pressure. The run defense must get better. We'll preview more of the Philadelphia game on Thursday's live stream, but these are pretty much my thoughts from the Philadelphia game. It was brutal. Jalen Hurts looking like an MVP candidate. The Eagles are looking like a Super Bowl contender. Tough scene at MetLife on Sunday. Real tough scene. Daniel Jones was not the problem. That's the one thing I'll say from this game. He wasn't. For people who say, oh, well, was he helping? He was with the chances that he was given. He took shots down the football field against an elite Philadelphia Eagles defense. Yeah, he made some mistakes. He made some bad throws, but every quarterback has those every game for the most part. And, Jones, a guy who has taken care of the football quite well this season. He continues to impress and deliver in clutch moments. It's not all about stats. It's more about the eye test for me. And for me, Daniel Jones has passed the eye test a year or 2 ago. But this season more than ever now, he's really showing he can flourish and succeed if you put the right pieces around him, right? Look at Jalen Hurts. He went from a guy who couldn't throw a football at the NFL level to a potential MVP candidate due to his own improvements and the coaching staff they built around him, the excellent O-line and the receiving core that they brought in, going out and getting A.J. Brown, having a real good game without his starting tight end, Dallas Goedert. That deserves some credit. The Giants need to do a better job in Week 18 when they meet this Eagles team. Starters are not in that game for them. Giants are vying for a wild card spot, and I'm interested to see what will happen. But giving up 48 points to the Philadelphia Eagles is not good. Pretty much, Eagles scored touchdowns in almost every drive. I was tuned out by mid-third quarter. I was still watching the game, of course, because I have to report on it. But it was just like one of those things, like, oh, just let this one be over. But Big Blue still alive for a playoff spot in 2022. You love to hear it. That's the positive I take from this week. And folks, remember, if you like what you watch and what you hear, make sure to go check us out on all of our social medias on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube at Big Blue Avenue. We'll be putting up a film review from this game within the next day or two. Make sure to stay tuned for that on the YouTube channel. And folks, without further ado, let's go Big Blue.